In today's viewer-requested video, we'll be taking a look at license plate illumination for a tail tidy. Stay tuned to see how we did it right here on Street Rod AZ. Welcome back, riders. So today we're going to be continuing our new Rage Cycle Tail Tidy video series. As you know, we've done a video reviewing and installing the tail tidy itself. Then we fabricated a license plate frame bracket for it. And one of our subscribers, Julian from Switzerland, what's up, Julian? Had asked a question about lighting. What are we doing about the license plate lighting? Because the NRC doesn't actually come with license plate lighting. So today, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be showing one option, one way to go, how you can illuminate your license plate. And there are, of course, many other ways to do it, but basically, that's what we're going to be doing today. So stay tuned and let's get to it. Okay, so quick little inventory. What are you going to need to do this? Well, you're going to need these two little lights here, or any similar license plate light. And I'll put a link in the description to Amazon on where I got these. You're going to need two of those. You're also going to need the harvested connector from your old fender. Or what you can do is this little piece right here, you can actually buy this little piece from JP Cycles. I'm not sure what the part number is, but they do have it. What I'll do is I will find it again and I'll put it in the description. I just opted because it's easier just to cut this thing off. You're gonna need your license plate bracket or whatever license plate bracket you are deciding to use. You're gonna need some of these quick connectors, these guys. And you're gonna need at least 4 females and 4 males, and we'll show you why. I'm pretty anal retentive when it comes to wiring, so I always like to put everything in shrink wrap tubing. This is completely optional for you, but I like to put everything in shrink wrap because it makes it look neat and it protects the wire. It's just another layer. You're going to need some wire cutters. You're going to need a soldering iron, and you're going to need some solder. Now, you could just use plain old crimped ends and crimp these things down. I don't like to do that. I actually like to solder them as well. It just makes for extra secure connection. But again, it's your choice. Soldering iron, optional. Electrical tester, also optional, but can be pretty helpful if you're not getting voltage to your lights or something. One of these can come in handy. You can get these on harborfreight.com or in your local Harbor Freight store for about $3, $4, or, you know, any other hardware store for that matter. And that's basically all you're gonna need. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up the tripod and we'll start the process of putting these together. Okay, so in this setup, with this option, with these little pegs, since these hold the license plate on, and we're gonna be putting some ends on here, or kind of semi-permanently connecting these things, I think it's gonna be easier just to kind of work directly off the bracket with the plate on. So what we're going to do is we're going to first assemble the license plate onto the bracket with the new illuminated license plate bolts, just like that. And then we'll do the other one. And essentially, this will be where we go. So we'll go ahead and put some bolts on here. Now, one of the reasons why I am putting these on is these little connectors here are big enough to fit through the license plate holes. But what they're not big enough to do is they're not big enough to fit through the washer and the nut that goes onto the back of these things. That's why I say these are kind of semi-permanent. Anytime you're going to want to remove these things or just remove your license plate from the bracket, you're going to have to cut the ends off of this. But if you leave yourself enough wire, that's going to be not that frequent. So these little guys, the red guys, are also very easy to take on and off. You just cut the wire, you can re-crimp them or solder them, or re-crimp and solder. But this should take no time to get off. So let's bolt all this up. Okay, and there we have it. So I've just snugged these up. I haven't actually tightened them down completely. And what I've done is I've actually angled the LEDs in a little bit to kind of illuminate more of the center of the plate. I think that'll be a better illumination. So I like it. I think it looks good. So let's go ahead and put some ends on this. Okay, so what we went ahead and did is we put a piece of shrink wrap over here because I want to hold these two wires together since they're basically going to be combined. And then we'll cut them to even them out, just like that. And then we'll probably put another piece of shrink wrap here. So this is kind of like in lieu of putting together or putting zip ties on all of these things to, you know, make it one wire. So let's go ahead and add one more of these, and then we'll cut and strip and crimp the ends on these things. Okay, that looks good in terms of the shrink wrap. So let's crimp. Okay, so we've got our shrink wrap in. We've put both of the grounds together and the hot. So what I think I'm going to do is put a little bit of solder on these though, just to make sure they stay secure. So we'll go ahead and get out our soldering iron. Put a little bit of solder on each one of these. Now you don't need to do a lot. Essentially all you want to do is you just kind of want to paint a coat of solder on here just to kind of make sure that they stay together. And then once you do that, you can get a couple more nail ends, just like this, and crimp them on. Okay, those look good. So essentially how this is going to work, this end is going to plug into the license plate harness, the female end of the license plate harness on the Harley. These two will connect here. Blue goes to the red, because the blue is the hot wire, just like that. And black goes to black, which is the ground. Now, after you get these things connected, you're probably going to notice that, well, you got some metal exposed here. So I think what we're going to do for that is we're going to go ahead and stick a piece of shrink wrap over it. I actually have this big shrink wrap that should cover both of these. I'm a big fan of this stuff, as I said, but you could use electrical tape, but you essentially want to you know, make sure that these don't touch any sort of metal or ground out. So you're gonna want to make sure. The other thing you could do, I opted not to do them just because I wanted to go with smaller ones. They do have these other connectors. These are insulated crimping ends. So you can see these already have like a plastic covering on them. You could do that as well. Maybe I should have, but okay, we'll work with what we've got. But we're gonna go ahead. Now this is all there. What I want to do is just kind of test fit this to make sure that everything works okay. Okay, so we've got the wire hooked up. We just plugged into the regular old harness. I just put a piece of masking tape over the hot wire right now, just temporarily. And you can see we've got our plate wire hooked up. I might turn this one just a hair. So let's turn the lights on the bike and see what happens. And there we go. as you can see, we've got an illuminated plate now. That looks pretty good. All right, so let's go make everything semi-permanent now. So I went ahead and I took my heat gun. Now you could use this soldering iron as well. You just need a pretty significant source of heat, you know, 180, 200 degrees or higher. I use a heat gun. It's like a super hot hair dryer. I mean, essentially you just kind of blow on the wire and it'll heat it up and shrink it, and it virtually makes it into like a complete insulated cable. So what we're gonna do now is we wanna insulate the two of these quick connectors here. So what we're gonna do is I took a couple pieces of shrink wrap and cut them, and we're gonna slide these guys over, and we'll do this side. Once I've got each of these on, now I can go ahead and connect these. But before we do that, what we're gonna wanna do, just so these don't seize, and I highly recommend doing this whenever you're going to be doing metal connections, is get some of this dielectric grease. This stuff is really good. It's basically a lubrication, prevents metals from seizing. But putting a little dab of this, actually we'll do it on the male ends. Putting a little dab of this on here is great because this essentially will keep everything lubed up. You don't need a lot, just need a little tiny bit. And what that'll help do is it'll help, make sure I'm connecting the right ones here. It'll help kind of lubricate this and make these go in easier. It'll also make them a lot easier to go off, kind of prevent things from seizing, if you will. So we'll go ahead and connect these up. Get this guy back on. And now we're ready to shrink wrap these things. So as I mentioned, we're gonna just put the shrink wrap over these two connections like this, and we're gonna hit it with a heat gun. And again, you could use a soldering iron. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Again, this isn't really so much to keep weather out because this is going to be under the seat in the compartment. This, again, it's more just for preventing these from grounding out. So looks pretty good. I think the next thing to do is get this all hooked up and connected. Okay, so we went ahead and installed the bracket. I figured I wouldn't bore you guys with putting this bracket. You've seen me take this thing off a bunch of times, but there we go, you know. Got the little lights here, another little light there. Right now it's just kind of snugged in place. Again, won't bore you with tightening everything down, but I think it's cool because it's very subdued. You know, you don't really notice much. But if we come back up to the top, I routed the wire. So there's our shrink wrapped wire going to our lights. I routed it through here. Everything is connected. I kind of tidied some stuff up here, zip tied some of the wires together because we've got to put the back plate on. And then if we turn the bike on and we come to the back, there we go. We've got the new Rage Cycles license plate all illuminated and lit up. So looks pretty good. And there's my son. Say hi, Daniel. Cool. Let's do the other one. Excellent. Okay, can you go squeeze the brake lever on the other side? All right, let go, squeeze, let go. Good job. Thanks, buddy. So there you have it. That's one option you can go with. Again, there's probably a bunch of different variations you could do. I just thought this one looked pretty cool. It was really cheap too. Illumination wasn't such a big deal to me because I don't ride a lot at night, so I'm not super worried for it. But for those of you that do or just require it in general, this is a great option. Total investment cost about 30 minutes of time and probably about $6 worth of material off of Amazon. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about this installation, feel free to leave a comment, let me know. Julian, subscriber Julian, Want to thank you again for this. I hope this is helpful to you, along with everybody else. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Say bye-bye, Daniel.
Bye.
Welcome back, guys. So today, we're going to be doing